All right, what's up, guys? So it's a beautiful Saturday morning here in Kansas, in probably 20 degrees outside, super cold, freezing. It might snow this weekend, but yeah. In this video, I want to talk about my experiences of living on my own, having my own place, moving out of my parents' house, being independent, all that jazz, and kind of just share my thoughts on that topic, right? So for those guys that don't know, my name is Jeffrey. I am an online fitness coach. I'm trying to develop mindset and physique, help guys change their body and their mind to become the best version of themselves, while at the same time documenting my own journey into this entire thing. And right now I'm currently serving in the U.S. Army, U.S. military, full-time, active duty. And I've been doing this for about a little over a year now. I've moved out of my parents' house last year in the summer, I think. And yeah, it's been a journey so far. And I remember, for most of my life, right, like I've been living with my parents at home. I'm from Hawaii, so a small island in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of nowhere. Everything I've ever known, all my friends, people I've talked to, the foods I ate, places I'm familiar with are all on that rock, okay? And at this point, it seems like it's almost like a second life, like a lifetime ago. But, yeah, man, like, a lot of kids, they, like when they reach the age of 18, sometimes they move out to college in a different state, and they dorm there. Some people, they find a roommate and they split rent. Some people, they find a job somewhere, find a cheap place, and they move out. But for me, I went to college in my home state in Hawaii. And I was living at home with my parents still. It was basically high school 2.0. At that point in my life, I didn't really understand what I wanted to do. My parents really just was like, you're going to college, man. Like, it was basically high school 2.0, grades 13 through 16. And, I didn't really get that college experience of living my own that I looking back, I wish I had. So after college, well, senior year of college, COVID hit for me, and like nobody was going anywhere. Everyone was at home. So but before that happened, though, I was actually thinking about having a dorming for my senior year in college, right? Like I had this crazy idea, and it was gonna be expensive too. Like where I almost convinced my parents for them to pay for me to dorm for like a year or a semester, because I for some reason, man, I was getting to that point of my college, in my life, where I was like, fuck, man, like, what am I doing in my life? I need to just live my own. So I was willing to almost and I was crying at one point, telling them I really wanted to dorm this year and everything like that. But then COVID hit and it shut down that idea completely. And then because COVID happened, and then the next couple of years I was just kind of working random jobs and still living at home. Hawaii is an expensive place, for those of you guys that don't know. So a lot of families, they tend to live together to save money and stuff. But that was basically what I was doing. And throughout that entire time, I was really just I felt like I would meet people at work and throughout my life that a lot of them were younger than me too, and they had their own place, they had their own car, they had their own shit together basically. And I'm here in almost approaching mid-20s thinking holy fuck, what am I doing still? I'm still living with my parents, still barely making any money, having most of my shit paid for by my parents still. And it just got me thinking, where's my life going to be going in the next couple of years if I don't change something? Long story short, I made the decision to join the military, and here we are in Kansas, right? I'm not saying, that the answer to all your problems is join the military. For me, that was my decision, but I want to go over just what I've learned from my journey so far, though. And the first thing that I've learned is that comfort, what you want is going to cost you something. Okay, nothing is going to be free. Like that is the first thing I've learned. Okay, because when I was living with my parents, yes, I wasn't paying any rent, and my parents would give me money every week for food, and I was kind of spoiled in a sense. Like my parents are not rich, we're not rich, but like they would give me a lot of stuff, and I really didn't have to work super hard for it. And they never made me do chores, and I still wash the dishes and stuff like that when I ate food and stuff. But like some parents, they make their kids do chores like whack weeds or manual labor, and you give them an allowance. My parents were never like that. My mom just gave me cash every week for food whenever I needed to. So I never really valued the value of money growing up, really. I was just thinking, man, like fuck, man, I'm getting like $40 a day. Like, let's just go fucking, Teddy's Bigger Burgers or something, or some kind of fast food place or something convenient. I never learned how to cook and stuff like that. And I was living a comfortable ass life, living under mommy and daddy's house, while everybody around me at work were paying their own rent. So, a lot of them were living paycheck to paycheck too, and I felt like I was always in this bubble of just fakeness of like, this is not what real life is for most of people. And I had a hard time relating to a lot of people that were actually like busting their ass paying rent, and just basically living what most people live, and I really didn't like that. I really wanted to have my own place, for mainly that reason. There's other reasons too, like, if I was talking to a girl or something, bringing her over would have been an issue with my parents' home, that kind of stuff too. But it was mainly to become more independent, and like become a man that I respected. Another thing, I know this video is kind of going off tangent. I'm not really having this is probably like my fifth take of this video. I made like a few videos before where I was kind of just trying to make it really structured, but I'm just gonna go off my thoughts here in this video. Another thing that I've learned from living on my own is that I took things for granted when I was living with my parents. I took people for granted. Like my parents, like I genuinely like miss them. I miss all my friends back home, because here it's really just me grinding every day here, and it's what I signed up for and everything, 100%. But when I was living back home, my parents, like every day I wake up and I'll see them, and I'll see my I see my friends every weekend or something like that. And when you see something every day, you take it for granted, right? Because like it's always going to be, you think it's always going to be there, when in reality, like nothing is permanent, nothing is forever. And yeah, like here, like after I went through basic training, after I went through my schools and everything, and even now, I realized that like every little thing that my parents did for me growing up, like that I've looked over or never really I took for granted, like simple things, like just like sweeping the house, like my mom would be sweeping the house every day, and here, like I'm here by myself, so I have to sweep my own place, making my bed, doing my laundry, all that stuff, right? I really feel like living on your own is something that every man needs to do at some point in their life. I mean, obviously they're gonna have to live on their own eventually, but I feel like you need to do it earlier, like if you can, okay? And I know that it is kind of expensive for a lot of people to do that, right? But if you have to, man, like get a roommate, work a better, like more higher paying job, work more jobs, find a cheaper place or something, Don't find like a super dangerous ghetto place, if you can help it. But like self-development really comes from getting outside your comfort zone. And for me at least, when I was living with my parents back home in Hawaii, that was just the ultimate comfort bubble that I've known for my whole life. And looking back, like I should have like, went to school out of state. I should have, done something, that like I think me and my friend were thinking about like getting an apartment together, just splitting rent, just because we wanted to have the same goal, living on our own too. But we never did that though. But like this, like you're really gonna like really become a man when you have your own place, you have bills to pay and that kind of stuff. That I feel like is really good for self-development. They're very necessary, and I feel like it's a better thing to do it earlier than later. Because like if you're living home with your parents right now, right, and if they're paying all your bills, if they're they're doing all that stuff like that, right, like yeah, you could just coast by and live with them rent free and doing whatever you're doing. A lot of people might say that's even more efficient, if you're trying to work on a business, or trying to be the ultimate bodybuilder, or have optimal conditions and have no stress in your life completely. You live rent free with mom and pop. But you do sacrifice personal growth though. I feel like you do sacrifice that discomfort, because discomfort and challenges and struggle that you're gonna face when you leave the nest, that shit, it actually is like a benefit to you in the long term. In the short term it's gonna suck ass. You're not gonna like it, but in the long term it's gonna teach you skills that eventually you're gonna have to learn, how to manage your own life. And yeah, man, it's also a really humbling experience too. Like every Christmas, or every time I call my parents, everything like that, and every time I go back home, it brings back, I feel like a totally different person, to be honest. And I feel like that's the whole point of this, right? Like when you're living with your parents, secretly they want you to become successful, become the best version of yourself, right? They want the best for you, just like any parents wants for their kids. And like my parents, my mom and stuff, like they love me, their kids, and it's hard for them to see their kid leave the nest, especially for Asian parents. I don't know about other ethnicities and stuff, but my mom was like, she really loved me. She cries every time I leave for the airport and stuff like that. And like at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to your decision though. Like as much as your parents love you and stuff like that, they can't make that decision for you, to become the best version of yourself. And that's what I told myself when I was scared of leaving home, basically, and coming out here, that like I had the option to stay home and become, just keep doing what I was doing and stuff, never struggle. But but where would I be in 10 years from now? What kind of person would I be? So yeah, guys, like if you guys are living on your own with your parents and you feel like just sick of it, you feel like you want to just become independent and have your own place to do whatever you want, for personal growth reasons, for social reasons, or whatever reasons, just to see a new environment, I suggest you guys develop a plan to go for it. You don't have to join the military or anything like crazy extreme like that, but there's a lot of options, right? Like you can find a friend, split rent with him. You can find a stranger, split rent with him. Find a higher paying job, find multiple jobs, find a cheaper place to live. At the same time, do your research though. Don't go to a super ghetto place. And yeah, man, but you need to set some kind of goal though. Don't just think about it in your head though. You should set like a timeline, like you want to move out by this certain date, maybe next year, June 2026, you want to move out by then, or August or something like that. Set a deadline though, and then work towards that deadline, right? Like figure out how much you need to save up from your current job, or to have that ability to support yourself outside and stuff like that. And the journey is not going to be easy, and whether it's worth it to you depends on yourself and what you think. But I believe that for personal growth, you need to have your own place. You need to be able to just, you need to be able to understand what it feels like to have to work for everything though. I think that's one of the best things that'll develop a person. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you guys like these videos on my thoughts and stuff like that. I'll try to make it a bit more organized going forward. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Like and subscribe for more.